I love that there's women out there breaking barriers, making history. We definitely need more of that because I believe when there's more women in the world that are leaders, like everyone benefits, like the world is a better place.
Hello and welcome to The Money Mindset Show, the place where we help female entrepreneurs to transform their mind so that they can achieve financial success in the least amount of time. Here, we talk about subconscious mind, we talk about money mindset chips, money mindset blocks, a strategy so that you can bypass your own money mindset and increase your income, better your relationship with money, and grow your business. Okay, before we start this episode, hey ladies, especially my women of color, this one is for you. If you are in business and hoping a mindset shift is all you need for financial independence, let me stop you right there. Financial independence isn't a magic switch. It is a process. Every move you make in your business should build on this journey so that you don't have to waste another year of your life without the result. Forget about getting lost in social media and getting lost in all of the algorithms. Your moves should be working towards a bigger financial picture. That's where we come in. Inside of a Brainwave to Money Academy, we break down how to master money, identity, taxes, retirement, and investments, and how to erase guilt and shame around earning more and keeping more. It is about stacking your revenue step by step until everything fits together beautifully. Picture yourself right now, confidently securing your financial future while embracing abundance and enjoying your family, your kids, your time, being finally free of money worries. It sounds like what you need? Then head over to themoneymindset.com/academy. That is themoneymindset.com/academy and join us. But don't wait because enrollment closes very soon. Welcome to the show, Sheena. It's our pleasure to have you here and to talk about the Tao of Self Confidence because it's such a great book. So please introduce yourself.
Alejandra, thank you so much for having me on the show today. It's such an honor to be here. And so my name is Sheena Yap Chan. I am a keynote speaker, Wall Street Journal bestselling author, consultant, podcaster on building self-confidence and leadership. And so my book, The Tao of Self Confidence, came out May of last year. And, it talks about learning to move beyond our trauma to show up as our best self, because we all go through some form of trauma and we don't find the tools and resources to heal from it, to work through it. Because if we don't work through it, it's going to affect us a lot in our daily lives. And so I know there's a lot of people out there who are hurting, who just needs a book that tells them, you're not the only one dealing with this. We all go through this, and trauma happens way more often than you realize all over the world, especially after the pandemic. So I'm just really grateful to be able to do this. And part of the reasons why being in the media is really important is because, growing up in Toronto, I never saw anybody that looked like me in the media. Toronto is a very, very multicultural city here. And I love it because we get to learn each other's cultures. So, I always wanted to create representation, better representation, especially for Asian women, just because we're constantly seen as quiet, submissive, and obedient. Mm-hmm. And I realize it's not just Asian women who deal with negative stereotypes. Most women, especially women of color, deal with it on a daily basis, right? Like Asian women are seen as quiet and submissive. Latino women are seen as sassy and spicy.
Exactly.
Black women are seen as the angry Black women. So, it's important to dismantle all these negative stereotypes because, we're more than that. And it's important to create better representation, showcase, as an Asian woman or as a Latina woman, we can be elite, we can be leaders in our own right, in our own industries. And so currently I'm writing a second book that will be geared towards all women because, there's still a lot of gaps that we face in this world. The World Economic Forum also mentioned that it's going to take 130 years to reach gender parity. No one wants to wait that long. And at this rate, it feels like it's going to take longer. So how do we, start creating that, right? How do we start moving forward? How do we build confidence? How do we build leadership? And, you know, this is not about taking people's places. It's just, you know, us moving up, showing up, you know, being visible, taking up space to like showcase, to show other women what's possible. So yeah.
Love it. I love it. Something that, first of all, we both work in trauma. So I work with financial trauma specifically for this exact same reason. There is so many people saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. But the reason why people are not doing it is not because they don't want to, it's because this unaddressed part, which is trauma in general, right? So I like that you have that approach. And in the book, that is waved in the narrative so beautifully. But you mentioned in the book something that I know I talk about when it comes to finances and money, but you talk about from the leadership perspective, which is intergenerational trauma, how that really shapes and affects the things that we're doing. So let's talk about that and how you saw it playing out in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't realize how much intergenerational trauma we face. You know, they say it goes four generations deep. And for anyone who doesn't know what intergenerational trauma is, it's, you know, we carry the trauma of our parents, our grandparents, and so on, right?
Yeah.
And in Asian culture, I believe it goes like way deeper. Right?
I was just going to say, I read in your book that was one person that told you that. And when I read that, I was like, pretty sure my family is like 8 because we are such a like living together, right? So it's so easy to pass by. Like if I remember my great grandpa beliefs and traumas, I can only imagine how much intergenerational trauma is in there.
Yeah. And especially like also in Chinese culture, like back in the day, like, you know, women were treated as just like baby carriers, you know, you know, they weren't treated fairly. Like men can have multiple wives and also multiple concubines, right? Because the reason why they did that is so that there's greater chances of bearing a son to carry the family name, not realizing, you know, this really affects so many people, so many women out there. And culturally, we're told not to share our feelings, not to share what we're going through. So we have all these repressed feelings. It's building up on us, and not only our own feelings, but the repressed feelings of our mom, grandmother, great grandmother, and so on. And then people wonder why we're going through so much issues. It's because of this, right? And in the book, one of them, you know, I cite out different movies that really talks about intergenerational trauma. Like Joy Luck Club is a great example of that, which is one of my favorite movies. It was the first movie in Hollywood that had Asian people. Like, I was like, finally.
Like,
and then
yay.
25 years passed, nothing happened. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we definitely need to talk about. And it's also happened in my own family, right? I realized that sometimes when I get confronted, I shut down. Like, I just shut down. I don't say anything. And I think that's normal for a lot of us. And I didn't realize my grandmother did the same thing. You know, she definitely has trauma that she will never tell a soul. And even if we ask her, she shuts down. Like she literally shuts down. And it's like, okay, like as I'm writing and I realize, you know, I'm doing what my grandma did. So when we do that work, that inner work, we start being aware of the things that's happening around us.
Yes. And I want to say that if I reflect on my own journey, and this stereotype of Latinas being spicy and being like sassy, I mean, I am, but it doesn't mean that it's the stereotype, right? Like I am quick on responding, but I also noticed that part of that intergenerational trauma is to be quick at responding as part of your defense mechanism. So it's just like, yes, you have different reactions depending on how you have been grown up, but it's still the response to the trauma itself. So I like that you have gone into understanding how it plays out for Asian women. And it's so interesting to me as a Latina and as an Afro-Latina, especially to look at how similar we are, even though that the traits, the behavior itself may seem different. The underlying thing is so similar. It's just like, it is what we're going through. And one of the things that, I'm going to show you all. This is the book. You gotta order now and really read it. Especially if you are coming from a perspective of being a woman who wants to be in the leadership position. That you may not, but if you are, this is important that you understand the different barriers that other people have overcome, like in this path. But I want to know for you, for Sheena, what was it important to write about this? Because I know that you have a podcast and you have done 800 interviews before this, right? I know that you are a speaker and you are there in the media. Why writing about it was more important or was the next step?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I've always wanted to have more visibility. I love my podcast and what it's done for me, but it's also still a very small media platform compared to like YouTube channels, TV, and, just other media in general.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't set out to write a book, to be honest. I actually had a book before that. It was a co-authored book called Asian Women Who Boss Up, which highlights the stories of 18 Asian women who are able to forge their own path, overcome obstacles, and thrive. And that for me was really important because we don't have a lot of books that highlight Asian women in a positive light. And then to see 16 Asian women on the front cover is like so needed,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Like we were able to create this out of the book series Women Who Boss Up. In fact, we have one too highlighting Latino women, because I understand, like, even like you mentioned, we're different, but we actually go through similar things, right?
Yeah.
Like, when people think of Latina, they think everyone's from Mexico. Then you have the sassy and spicy. You're seen as you're seen as like the help versus being seen in like leadership roles or like just high position roles. And then like and colorism, right? Colorism is a huge thing. Like, when people think of Latina, they think of light skin. Like you mentioned, like Afro Latinas as like always forgotten, right? Like, I think there was a movie called like In the Heights or something Heights. And then, and then they talked about like how they forgot about the Afro Latin community because that area had a huge population of Afro Latinos, right? So like it's the same thing in Asian cultures. Like if you're dark skinned, you're considered ugly. And it's like it's so crazy. I'm from the Philippines, and if you're in Manila, you'll see like big billboards of like whitening creams endorsed by celebrities. And
that is huge, right? That is
it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, that's one of the things that struck me when I was when we travel. Just a stop over. We didn't even go. Just a stop over at the airport. We were like, "Ow!" And let me tell you, in Colombia, it's not any different. It's not the beauty standards, but all of the commercials are going to be white, blue eyes in a place where 80% of the population is black. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we doing? But it's very interesting to see how the industry moves whatever we see and the stereotypes. Hey, interrupting this episode to remind you that you can go right now to themoneymindset.com/academy. That is themoneymindset.com/academy, and get into the Brown Way to Money Academy, the only program that is going to teach you how to design and walk your path to financial independence as a woman of color in business starting today. Go to themoneymindset.com/academy before we close enrollment. So in your experience and in your research and writing process, how your definition of success have changed from the person before all of these to the other side, to the person that knows and see these threats as an objective things that are happening and they are not part of her anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think success has always been defined as like the fancy cars, the titles, just like all surface level, right? And, when you get that, you still feel empty because it's like, okay, you got it. What's next, right? And for me, success is really just living life the way you want to live it, because not a lot of people get to live life on their terms, right? Especially women, right? We're always told how to sit, how to stand, how to eat, how to do this, how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's exhausting. You feel trapped in your own body. So really just being able to live life on your terms, that's what I think success is. And it's like, I remember reading an article where this lady like quit her like 6-figure job and like moved to work in like a park, and she gets paid way less, but she's so much happier, right? And I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
because it's like, that's her success. And I respect that because she just wants to live a simple life, right? Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to work a job. Not everyone wants to be
Right.
famous. Everyone should be able to live how they want to live, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I think success is. And I just wish we can have more of that. I know social media can be like a rabbit hole of like the comparison syndrome, like, oh, she did this and I'm a loser. But it's like, you know, once you can learn to step away from that and realize what you've accomplished, like you're a badass, right? That's all I have to say.
Yes. And that goes so well with them because, you are writing a book for leadership. And many people understand leadership as successful, right? It's like they're synonymous, and it's not. To me, it's not. I'm curious to know leadership in your terms, what it is and how different that is from what you just said of success. Because I want people that is going to read this book to understand that this is a book that talks about leadership for a reason, not to become successful in material things, but leadership to stand up and to change what we see out there, the stereotypes, to bring more of it, the voices and all of that. So what is that definition of leadership that you have that you are bringing to the book itself?
I think when it comes to leadership, it's just, just being able to, pave the way, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always easy to go out there and pave the way, especially when like you're the first one and then there's no one like rallying you. So it's really tough and it can get very lonely. And so I think when you just when you can show others what's possible and like take their hand and walk with each other side by side, that's what I think leadership really is. Cause like it takes a lot of confidence and courage to go out there and just do some of the things, right? Like even just showing up, like that is hard, especially as women when we're told like you shouldn't be promoting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How could you do that? It's blah blah blah. And it's like, well, why not? Like, why can't we do that? Because someone said that, um, because someone said that it's not ladylike, then we shouldn't do it. Like, it's a lot. It's like it's frustrating sometimes, to be honest.
And when you talk about confidence and self-confidence, why is it not only important but key to do this shift in women's mind to become the leader of your own life?
I think it's really important because I mean, as women, we're so capable, right? Like we can do so many things, but it's how we perceive ourselves that really stops us. And like
Mm-hmm.
we feel like we have to figure everything out first before we go out there and do it, not realizing like, we can figure it out as we go. And we do that all the time, especially as a mom. I'm sure that you go out there and figure things out along the way, right? Like you have to, or else like you know, nothing gets done. And
Right.
so for me, confidence is really important because I want women to realize what they're capable of, as I'm writing the second book and realizing like, wow, as women, we're amazing. You know, I just wish there's more women who can show up and realize what they're capable of. That's why I'm really like doing my best to like find the right information, the right role models to look up to. Because when you look at the leadership representation for women, it's still very small and we
Yeah.
still have a lot of work to do. And I love that there's women out there breaking barriers, making history. We definitely need more of that because I believe when there's more women in the world that are leaders, like everyone benefits, like the world is a better place. And
Yeah.
there's so many examples of where women have done better than men. I have nothing against men, but it's like we need to take women more seriously. We need to take ourselves more seriously. And it really starts with how we see ourselves.
Yes, and especially women of color. I just cannot stress this enough. The perspective that we have is not being told
Yeah.
by the masses. And it is very, very important. And that's why I have Sheena in the podcast. That's why I'm running this whole series of podcasts just showcasing Black women, brown women, because it is important that we hear the experiences, the stories, and get from that. Sheena, can you tell us about can you tell me about your second book? Because I am curious. Like, what is it about? If you can, if not, that's also fine. But I'm like, what is she working on right now?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit.
A teaser.
A little teaser. It is about the topic of self-confidence in leadership, but for women as a whole, because, we just still go through a lot of gaps, right? There's a gender confidence gap, pay wage gap, like it's just a lot. And then we don't talk about it. And like I mentioned, right, it's going to take 130 years for gender parity to be achieved. So it's like, how can we make that faster? Like, no one wants to wait 5 generations to witness that.
Yeah.
So just, even being aware of the gaps that we don't even know, right? We don't even know that we're dealing with these things. And so bring awareness to that. How can we start, creating that change and be the person that we're meant to be? So
love
that's
it.
a little teaser.
Yeah, I love it. Especially yesterday, I was reading this article, and this is tailored to Latinas. But in 2023, Latino on the whole household average income was $35,000 less in average than the counterpart in Caucasian. I'm like, 35,000, it's a lot. And that is just an average. I don't want to know like what really are we working with here. And it all starts with the understandings, with those beliefs, with really that what you said, the self-confidence, the confidence of standing up and sharing your voice, but also the confidence of knowing that this has an impact on a systematic change. So again, I recommend, I will link it to in the show notes for you guys to check it out and go ahead and buy it. And we are going to wait for your second book. Sheena, give us a little part of your book that you want people to read. If they don't read the whole thing, there is one part that they cannot get away without reading.
I think if there's one chapter in the book that I would love people to read is the journey for self-love, because as women, we don't love ourselves enough. And it's important to love ourselves, because if not, we're going to attract the wrong things into our life. We're not going to be as confident as we are. And so like self-love and self-care is something that women don't do often, right? And that is needed.
Yeah.
I mean, during the pandemic, when everyone was stuck at home, like, you had to do everything. You had to tutor kids, work your job, work on your business, run errands, take care of family members, and it's exhausting. So I think that's the one chapter. I think that's really important for people to share and like just take it, so that they can realize they're more than enough. When you can constantly love yourself, it just makes a big difference. And when you take care of yourself too, it's really important, even if it's just like 5 minutes of the day. Because I know as women, we're just super busy.
Yes. And sometimes like today, I just had 20 minutes between calls. I'm like, listen, I need some meditation time for myself, because otherwise I cannot run. Like I cannot run 100% to give to others. That's so important for me. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here. It has been our pleasure. Share with us where else we can find you.
Yeah, for sure. You can check out my website, sheenayapchan.com. I do have a free quiz where you can figure out your self-confidence personality. So it's just sheenayapchan.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter. And if you forget anything else, you can also Google my name, Sheena Yap Chan, because I'm the only Sheena Yap Chan. And the book, The Tao of Self Confidence, is available worldwide, which is really just insane when I say that. So love your support if you can get a copy.
Absolutely. And we're going to link it below here. I will link it for Amazon United States and Amazon Europe. And in Europe. And if you cannot find it, just look at it in your own Amazon and you will find it there. Thank you so much, Sheena. Okay. But before I let you go, did you know that you have a space where your money mindset work is made extra simple so that you can increase your income, better your relationship with money, and grow your business in such a simple and easy way? Go to themoneymindset.hub.com and choose your path and start making those changes easily and effortlessly. That is themoneymindset.hub.com.